Hey, Married at First Sight fans! It's so nice to be back. So today I'm behind, but I'm doing my review for the first episode of Married at First Sight. I, for the most part, will be just sticking to these simple reviews, and I'm really happy if you guys are joining me once again for this season of Married at First Sight. I believe it is 7:15. Why did I say 7:15? I believe it is season 15. So I have on my phone. I'm going to record my phone as I'm going through all the couples and I'm showing you I'm going to be going through each of the couples information on the website and I'm going to be scrolling. As I'm scrolling, I'm going to be talking about each one. So I will have this on the video as you guys are watching. So we're going to react. So for the most part, this is what I have to say. I'm excited about this season being in, is it San Diego? Right? Is that the location? I'm happy that it's on the West Coast because they've been doing seasons for the most part on the East Coast and the Texas area. So this is a nice change of pace, a nice change of characters. And I feel like this season we have an introduction to a lot of different characters. So far we don't know the couples. We don't really know how they're going to be until they're together and engaging with one another. So before I get into this review, go ahead and let me know, how have you been? How have you guys been? I haven't seen you guys for, what is it, like 2 months? A month and a half? I haven't seen you for a while, so let me know, how have you been? How's life been? Are you excited for this season? And also let me know your opinion on each of the couples and your prediction for each of the couples. So really, I can only talk about the initial reaction to each of the couples because only one couple got married in this episode, number 1, which is Alexis and Justin, and we'll be talking about them last. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Lindy and Miguel. Okay, I'm gonna read, some of what I see here and then also look at them. So looking at the photo, I feel like the two of them look really cute together. They're both, in a way, very attractive people. They have very nice physical, like their face features are really nice. Looking at the photo itself, it's kind of not clear, which is interesting. They look kind of stiff. But, that's to be expected. This is your your first time meeting your spouse. It's kind of a big deal, but of course you don't just get comfortable with each other right away. Lindy and Miguel. So if I corrected, the one thing that stuck out with Lindy is that she came from a strict religious background. That was her thing. She came from a strict religious background. She's wanting to live this free-spirited expression of herself now. But for the most part, I know people who come from strict religious backgrounds, they do have some like strong foundations in terms of how they and values and what they expect in life. So no one goes from 0 to 100 ever. For the most part, I feel like when you come from a religious background, you take those values with you. And the way that she comes off, even though I think she seems very open with her friends, is as someone who has morals, who lives particularly, likes to be seen in a particular light. But she seems bubbly, really sweet. Miguel, I feel like, did the experts call him a Renaissance man? So I think the experts called him a Renaissance man. I think he has all of the qualities, right? He's attractive, he's sweet, he's nerdy, he has a nice balance of characteristic traits. His brother, I think, called him the most masculine feminine guy that they've ever known or had in their lives. So I think that's an interesting combination to fuse together for him as well. So the thing about Miguel is I think he's been in back-to-back relationships, and they started as long-term relationships, and then they started to shrink. So they started like 6 years, and then 3 years, and then 2 years, and then 1 year because something just wasn't working out. His friends, his D&D friends kept talking about how he has a tendency to overlook certain red flags in partners, and there you go. That's why he's had a hard time pinpointing. And I also believe the other thing about Miguel that stood out was that his relationship with his mother. His mom didn't really create or try to formulate a connection with her son, and therefore she's been missing in his life, but not for a lack of him trying. So he's always the one trying while apparently women are leaving his life. I guess, like, let me just go ahead and dive into some quick perspective opinions that I have about this. So when a woman doesn't show up in your life, a mother figure doesn't show up in your life, that's a feminine wound that you're needing to heal. When women don't stay in your life, it's a feminine wound. And it feels very subconscious because he says he's romantic and he wants to try. But I almost feel like to some degree, there's a combination of things. It's like, why would someone just up and leave if you're this Renaissance man and you have all of these great qualities? For the most part, I feel like people leave their partners because something's lacking or they're bored. And I know that's not what people always want to hear because they're like, okay, I just want to be in a partnership and this person should care about me, right? If I have all the great qualities. But you're always a magnet for your partner. So if you're a magnet for a partner who doesn't want to sustain in a relationship, to some degree, it's because something has been unresolved. I know that sounds very vague, but it is what it is. It's like something has been unresolved. And I'm guessing even though he's tapped into his masculinity and his femininity, I'm feeling like he's having to tap into his masculinity more and also know how to set boundaries. Set the expectations so that your partner respects you so much that they wouldn't even think twice about, wanting to leave you. I think when you're a pushover, right? Because he overlooked his partner committing infidelity to him on 3 occasions. When you overlook those things, now you look like a pushover, right? Because you're willing to stay and sustain a relationship with a person who doesn't actually have all of those sincere emotions for you. So he has a way of getting in partnerships with people who will not give him the what he deserves. And that's because he doesn't recognize that he deserves more. So I think that's what I'm coming to summarize. So Lindy, let me go ahead and read up on what I see about Lindy. Lindy's over the dating process and would like to find someone who is ready for a committed relationship so they can start their next chapter together. Okay. Yeah, there's like no information here. As a scientist, Miguel feels as though Married at First Sight is a perfect juxtaposition. Okay, I'm not gonna even read this. There's not really any information. So the thing about Lindy that stood out, I always like how these people, they come out, they're so cute. And then right as the first episode pops out, you start seeing all of their red flags. You start seeing why everyone's single. And you're like, is anyone going to stay together? Why are these experts putting to people who are not fully ready? But that's for me to judge and for them to decide for themselves what they're capable of. For Lindsay, the thing that stood out to me is that she felt like this need to be tempered or controlled or told to calm down. And I think this is her way of overcompensating for the lack of expression she had in her life. So she's like full blown, right? Like, oh, I'm just gonna be wild with my emotions, wild with my opinion, whatever, just like let it out. And I need someone to like tame me down because that's like the religious aspect, I think, playing a part into her energy. So it's like religion can be very oppressive and repressive depending on how you live and flow with it. So it can be very repressive. So maybe she took off, she became a free spirit. She said that her parents criticized her for, having one night stands or having a one night stand. That's a big deal. But to her, it seems normal. So there's an unresolved connection to her religious background because she's still feeling this need for some outside force to control her to some extent because she has to let out all of these emotions. So my thing to that is you gotta master self-control, period. It's not for your partner, right? We met Lindsay last season. I am who I am. Well, you can be who you are, but you're gonna be single if you don't know how to maintain self-control. So Lindsay, she seems really endearing and cute, but her friends really seemed concerned about how, hangry she can get. She has a sweet side, but apparently she has this other side to her that's going to come out in her partnership as well. And Miguel, I feel like he's going to be needing to be more assertive and put up those boundaries so that his partner understands what needs to be taken care of. Because she should be having self control over her own emotions. It shouldn't be her partner trying to, box it in and put it in where it needs to be, or her being put in her place, kind of thing. So, if you think like that, that is something to consider because we're two healthy people coming together. We're not fully healed necessarily. We're not fully conscious either. And that's because we're incomplete in a sense. I know it's weird to say that because I always say we're complete and we're whole, but I've been re-educating myself on this understanding that in a sense we will always be incomplete because we're always seeking to live life and grow and expand even more into our experiences. So we're always going to be incomplete. which means live life, take it day by day, and just experience and appreciate what you can. So with the Lindsay, that is the thing, the major issue that's gonna show up. Now, what I think is gonna work well together, perhaps, I think is the attraction. I think they're cute together. I think they're gonna be attracted to each other. They both seem to have a sweet side to them, a sweet tenderness side to them, and a bubbliness that I think will mold well together. But I believe he talked about wanting to be somewhat of a traditional provider or take on the traditional role, and she wants to be like this free spirit. So I'm not really sure if this is fully compatible. So let me know what you think down below. Let's go ahead and move on to the next couple. That was a lot of words. Okay, so I think it's Kristin and Mitch. Let's go ahead and move on to Kristin and Mitch. Let me turn the brightness on my phone up. Oh, what is with these photos? What is with that expression? They look kinda cute. They look like a couple on a date together. Like, they're just, like, hanging out, like, they're friends, and he looks like I don't know, like, he had just said something to her and she feels teased, but she's humoring him. He looks pretty comfortable with her, like, he's looking at her with sort of stars or, like, a sparkle in his eyes, so I'm digging this body language, it feels nice. She seems like, I don't know about this guy, but in, like, a positive way, like, "Eh." Not in a "I'm not attracted to you" way. Okay, so let's go ahead and read Kristin and Mitch. Right, so Kristin is the sorority girl, Mitch is the surfer, save the climate, save save the world guy. So this is an interesting match. This is kind of our opposites come together, and I'm curious to see how that's gonna pan out. So the thing that was really a red flag that was showing up for me is that Mitch said that he is who he is and people have to take it or leave it. I'm just like, anytime someone says that, I'm like, I don't know if you're ever gonna be able to be in a relationship. Like, those type of people, it's either you've been in a long-term relationship and your partner has just learned to accept you and they learn how to read the room, or it's better for you to stay single or stay in something a little bit more casual or distant, which isn't what we really want. We always want that close intimacy, emotional and physical with our partners. So with Mitch, yeah, that was the flag that showed up. He seemed like a really cool guy. He seems mature, but his relationships are like this long, right? And for someone who is in his 40s, right? He's 41, for you to have a relationships that are that long, that are very short term is a concern. So here's my thing. Every person coming into the show has to go through pre um, therapy. Like you should go through pre-therapy, knowing what issues, what has not worked in your relationship, and what you need to do to bring to this relationship. Because you can't bring the same thing. It's not, oh, I'm ready. Well, what made you ready? You should be able to define why this is why you're ready. Age, wanting kids isn't enough of a reason. There's emotional maturity, there's spiritual maturity that goes into you being ready for a partner. Okay, so Kristin, I really like her vibe. She seems like a go-getter, very positive, very bright, very like I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like she waited till the last minute to tell her dad, so she definitely has that um, go-getter mentality. She seems very open, very direct. I like that. She has very open, direct body language. It says here that she has everything she's ever wanted except a partner to share it with. She loves love and being married is one of her greatest wishes. So if I recall her previous partner, she was about to get married to him. She had a whole wedding, spent her life savings on the wedding and the honeymoon, I think, and she ended up finding out he had a mistress that came up to her and told her what was going on. Okay. So let me just like point out to some of the key issues that often turn up in partnerships where the partner is wherever infidelity shows up. It's a lack of something. It's not people don't just cheat for nothing. They always cheat for a reason. It's because they want to get something that they're not getting in the relationship somewhere else. Now, here's a prediction. Could be off. She does seem like an intense go-getter. She was talking about six figures, which I heard in I hope it's San Diego, right? This is San Diego. Which on the West, living in California on the West Coast, six figures doesn't go very far. That's actually how you would want to make on average to afford a really like comfortable lifestyle. So she's willing to do that. But if is she too focused? Is she too goal oriented? Another thing that I noticed with Kristin is her friends. I didn't know if it was the way they looked younger. Maybe she just looks more mature because They have about a 9-year age gap, I think, between the two of them. I think she's 32, 31. He's 40, 41. Um, and her friends, she looks mature. She actually looks older. She looks older than I was expecting, but it just could be makeup and the way she carries herself. Whereas Mitch does actually look a little bit younger than what he's aged at because he takes such good care of himself, which is amazing. But yeah, her friends seemed kind of, I don't know, immature or something youthful around her. There was something about her friends that seemed very youthful. So I'm just saying that because I feel like maturity plays a role. Who you hang out with. So, like, I'll just mention this. What was that season? Yeah, Gil. Gil's friends looked and seemed younger than him. So I always look to who their crowd is. If your friends are younger than you or they carry off a youthful, younger vibe, that might explain why you're not married, right? As opposed to being surrounded by mature people who are in the place to get married. If you're around those group of people, I would trust that you're ready, more ready for that lifestyle because you've seen it. Okay. So, oh, my phone just cut off. Hold on. All right, guys. So my phone ran out of space. It has space on the card, but it doesn't have space on the actual phone. So I had to move things around. Okay, so I was talking about Kristin and Mitch. I like this vibe. I like the possibility. So honestly, all of the couples from this season, they all give me this vibe of like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm curious. Because they all seem like opposites in a sense. Like there's certain things about each other that isn't gonna bode very well. But I want to see how it plays out because maybe sometimes you need someone who's very different from you to realize your true love. So Kristin and Mitch, he basically described her in terms of what he was looking for. The only thing is about the climate thing. He's very intense about wasteful product. And I believe he talked about how when he was at Starbucks, he's that guy who's going to complain about them not refilling his cup up, as opposed to like putting it in a new plastic cup. I think that's what he's very intense. And I just have to say this, Mitch, you're going to have to tone it down. You're going to have to tone it down for any partner because life requires flexibility, and especially in love. And this is not the show to look for the perfect spouse. You need to be very open because most people are not like that. I mean, he needs to know he's a unicorn in that sense. So he has to be very open to what Kristin is about. Kristin, she's just looking forward to him really committing to someone and being devoted to her partner. And I really like that about her. I think she has what it takes. It's just, again, no one gets cheated on by accident. It's a lack of something that wasn't there in your partnership. Of course, the partner should have the maturity to communicate that to you and resolve it in a way that's healthy. But that often happens when we're not fully mature in ourselves yet, and we just attract a partner who isn't mature. They're not aware. So if you're not aware, you're going to attract someone who's not aware. So that's why it's best to just grow and really think about in what ways you can be mature and aware in your partnership. Okay, so that's Kristin and Mitch. I wish them the best. They look really cute together. I just want couples to thrive. Okay, moving on to Stasia? I think it's Stasia and Nate. I could be wrong. Okay, so I saw the two of them making out in future episodes, so the chemistry is there, right? Look, I was surprised at how old she is because she looks, I guess it's like genetics because I was looking at her mom and I'm like, your mom she got good skin, she cute, she knows how to wear her makeup very well put together. And Stasia is the same. She knows how to put herself together very well, very, very well. That's why men get intimidated by her. So she's this they want this power couple vibe. Both of them are go-getters. She's the go-getter. She wants a go-getter. She wants someone who's willing to put in the work. But I thought it was hilarious that during the bachelorette party, she mentioned that she likes thugs, right? She likes thugs with a little bit of class. Very interesting. I think that's a specific taste for some women. And I could name a few, but I'm not going to get into it. So Stasia, she wants a man that's a little rough around the edges, which is nice. I think that's to sort of complement her pristine, polished qualities. She wants someone who represents the opposite. And sometimes we want that in a partner because we want it for ourselves, but we feel trapped in ourselves in terms of expressing it. So we want it in a partner instead because we can be around it all the time. without letting our inhibitions go. She seems very controlled. So that might be why she likes dating men who are a lot less controlled. Okay, so Stasia, yeah, I'm looking at the picture here. Let's look at the picture. Yeah, there's chemistry. There's cute. They look cute together. They look really cute together. I feel like physically they're a match. I believe she's 39 and he's either 35 or 37. Like there's a little bit of an age gap there, but you wouldn't know it because she takes really good care of herself, and they both actually have a youthful vibe to them. Okay, so let's go on to Nate. I'll go back and forth between the couples. Talking about Nate. Okay, Nate seems cool, right? He seems like he has a good head on his shoulders in terms of when it comes to building his business. You know, he's mature about building his business. He's mature about deciding what he wants. He sounds very decisive. He seems very decisive about what he wants, but very picky, very particular, right? He wants the curvaceous woman with the small waist and all of that going on. Yeah. So that to me is like why you would be single, because it's like a lack of maturity. You know, when you get into the specifics of describing an Instagram model, to me, you're not really looking for real love, right? You could get the Instagram model. You could get a Instagram model, and that could be your wife. You could get someone who looks like an Instagram model, but that shouldn't be like the priority of your list, right? It should be you want her to look beautiful. And to me, I feel like if you're open to more flavors and you're open to how women can look, your love life would be so much more enjoyable. So, to me, you're living in fantasy land if you have a very specific idea of what your woman should look like. Because again, you're putting on those expectations on her to be perfect about her body. I'm like, well, what if she has kids, right? She looks like the Instagram model now, but what if, life happens and her body changes? Are you going to accept her? So those are very high expectations he has. He probably has them for himself as well, but the real world, yeah, you can definitely attract someone who is of that nature, but when it comes to marriage and devotion and commitment, those are invisible qualities that have nothing to do with looks, and those are the most important. Stasia and Nate, they look real cute together. Okay, so Stasia believes married at first sight is her last chance at marriage and a family. She's an unconventional person, so this experiment feels like the right fit. I'm actually more interested in Stasia doing a reality TV show and how she built her business. That's what I feel like. Love life, let's see. Let's see what she does. But she just looks like she's a badass um, at what she does. So that's what I'm like. That's what I'm excited about. Is I'm just excited to see people live their lives like Mitch and Stasia. We're getting different flavors. We're getting more flavors. I think more intensified flavors this season. Okay, so we have Nate is an active and successful day trader. Yep, stock market. His analogy for meeting an exceptional wife is intentional, high risk, high reward. Very, very masculine, analytical energy coming through there. He's comfortable with being uncomfortable, okay, and will leave it to the experts to find him a potential fantastic match. Okay, so another thing that's coming up is the strip club scene, where he was like, "Get on your knees," and then he was like pouring. I don't know. He's doing all that. And he said, "I'm a freak, and I don't mind if people know it." Ah, it's a bit much. It's a bit much for Married at First Sight, I would have to say, but uh, that's fine. I think it's important to be honest and open with yourself. This might sound a bit. I don't know how you guys are gonna feel about this, but I'll say it. Sometimes when you like, he's fascinated with the Instagram model. He wants the Instagram model. He's fascinated with the stripper. It sounds like there's some like over sexualized energy coming through that's overcompensating for something. So I'm like, here's the thing about sex. It's like natural. Sensuality, it's very natural. To be used to it, to be comfortable with it. But to me, it sounds the way he's expressing or has a relationship to it feels almost graphic and porn related, which is how some people are educated about sex. So that's the only thing, like that's not mature understanding of sex or understanding of sensuality. And that's just something he's gonna have to mature into in his marriage. So a bit of immaturity showing up, but I'm looking forward to seeing how their dynamic works. I think Stasia seems very mature, very much knows what she wants, but she seems particular. So I'm just curious to see if they're gonna butt heads or if they're going to let this romance bud and be willing to push past their differences to make it work. That's what I want to see. I want to see people put in the work. Let's go. Let's do it this year. Okay, so next we have here Let's talk about Morgan and Bin. Is it Ben? I'm sorry. I'm not 100% sure. They said his name a million times. I like his personality, but for some reason. Okay, so looking at the picture, I really love the body language. She's hugging him and she looks really content and happy. She looks very comfortable in space. Um, I don't know if it's Bine or Ben, but he seems like a really sweet guy, right? He seems like a really sweet guy. He seems very open. Sometimes you can just tell the way that people talk, the way that they sit, they just seem very comfortable with themselves. He seems very comfortable with themselves, comfortable with himself, comfortable with his ideologies about life. But y'all remember, right? He was cutting those coupons. He lives a particular way because he wants to obtain financial freedom at a certain age, which I think is absolutely honorable, incredible. However, here's my thing is marriage is expensive. It is. Marriage is expensive. You better go up the tax bracket. Marriage is expensive. Kids are expensive. So I'm just curious. I'm like, it seems like he's very strict and particular about his finances. I'm like, you need to romance your woman. You need to take her out. You need to be willing to spend on spontaneity. You need to be willing to spend on your partner. So, period. Whether that's McDonald's or I don't know, what's a fancy restaurant that I have not been to? Olive Garden. I have been to Olive Garden once in my life. Okay, so they look really cute together. So the thing that they both match on is they both like to get physical and in the gym, right? He got the muscle, she got the muscles. And they both have an Asian background. So it seems like the experts have a tendency to pair people who have similar cultural backgrounds together, especially the Asian cultures. So they'll be able to relate on that. She's very proud of her culture. That's why she ended up getting into the fit workout. I can't remember the name of it, but that's why she got into what she got into. Okay, so yes, he seems like a really nice guy, sweet guy. Maturity wise, I don't know if it's there because maturity wise, you have to be willing to spend on your partner. That should be like a open thing. So I'm like, if you're very restrictive about your expenses, it's either be open to spending more, open your mentality, find a way to make more money, or wait to get married until you get the amount of money you're bringing and the kind of money that you really want. That's the only thing. I'm just like, what's with the timing? Because he's young, right? I think he was like 30, early 30s, 31, 33. I'm like, you don't have to rush it. But he, again, just like all the other guys, he's being analytical. He doesn't want to waste his time and money spending on dates that isn't worth the investment. He'd rather have the experts get him there to the finish line quicker. So Morgan, she's a nurse, she's sweet. The thing that kept coming up with her is that she just wants so much to be wanted and desired by her partner. She feels as though she hasn't met that guy who wants to settle down, right? So my thing is you attract what you're ready for, period. I know it doesn't always sound great. The thing is, you can date whoever. You can date guys who aren't ready. You can date guys who are ready. But you should always be aware of who is ready and who isn't. Like energetically, you should be able to sense that. Like really dive into your intuition and ask yourself, is this person ready for commitment? Because I can tell you, I can look at a person and be like, it's not there. It's not there. We can flirt, but it's not there. And I'm not going to invest all of that energy into this when I know it's not there. So it sounds like she's been investing in partners that are not ready. She feels like she wants a mature man who's ready to settle down. Yeah. And she wants to be desired by her partner. So the chemistry, the sexual intimacy and connection between the two of them might be problematic. I mean, sometimes maybe when your partner's in front of you and you're around them, it's just like, okay, we develop that attraction naturally. But he talked about having sex, what is it, 1.5 times a week? That is very calculative, very calculative, and that is not going to work for Morgan. So they're on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to their sex life expectations. So I'm questioning whether they're both ready to compromise in that sense, because I just think she's going to have to compromise, work with him and what he can do, and he's going to have to compromise too. But my question is, Why such a low sex expectation? Is it because you're in front of cameras? Because I feel like that number is real low. 1.5 times a week. He said that's the average, and that's his expectation. I'm very curious to know where he's coming from with that. Because when it comes to actual relationships, I just feel like you should know, right? Most guys do say more often than that. So that was kind of surprising, that number. The two of them seem like they're mature and ready to settle down. I mean, to some extent. He seems emotionally like he has a very good temperament. The only thing with him is he doesn't have a lot of relationship experience. And it's like, it's one thing not to have relationship experience and date. It's another thing to not have relationship experience and then get married at first sight. So that's the only thing is like, are you ready to understand that your wife has needs and your wife needs you to communicate your needs very clearly and work in this experience? The thing that kept sticking out with him is that he kept talking about how he wanted this, supportive figure in his life like his mother. So, one thing I will say about men sometimes is, yeah, it's beautiful that you want a supportive figure in your partnership. I think he's definitely more ready than other men that I'm describing, the general. But you have to question, you have to ask yourself, you want someone who's emotionally supportive of you. Right? You want a partner, you want your feminine counterpart, but at the same time, are you ready to be a protector and provider? Not just physically protecting, providing in terms of providing a home for your family, and a life for your family, but also energetically. Can you protect this woman? Can you make her feel safe? Can you make her feel secure? Are you willing to provide? Are you willing to give? Or are you just more focused on your own needs while also desiring a supportive partner? And I feel like a lot of guys go out there, they date, and they just want the love, they want the support, they want the romance. But here's the thing, feminine energy is expensive. As far as I'm concerned, it is. It's very valuable. And this is something that women don't understand is your energy is like home. It's honey to him. So you want to make sure he can do his part, most importantly, energetically. I'm not saying he has to necessarily be making those six figures, but he has to at least be able to support his family realistically, create stability, but also make you energetically feel safe in your partnership as well, which means he has to be at a mature level where he can handle himself. Otherwise, it's just not going to work out. That's what I mean when I'm saying, like, you want to go and date, that's fine to date and to flirt, but look for these partners who really have the stability to be a protective provider, energetically as well as physically. Okay. Let me move on. I think Morgan's cute. She's got a little bit of that wild side in her. Um, I think Ben can use that spice. Oh no, his name is pronounced Ben, but it's spelled Ben. Yeah, I think Ben can use that spice in his life, but I just hope he's prepared and can handle it. That's my prediction. Um, I'm I'm always open. All of these couples do feel very experimental to me. Let me just say that. Moving on to our final couple, which is Alexis and Justin, the couple who got married. Okay. So Alexis is 29, Justin is 33, I believe. So Justin thing was that he was ready for commitment and marriage about 5 years ago. He ended up he realized he wasn't mature enough for that partnership, but now he's become 5 years later that man he's wanting to mature into. I like the way Justin carries himself. I like the way he talks. That disagreement he had with his brother was very interesting. But at the same time, I like the way that they handled themselves at the end and at the wedding. He seems like a very sensitive partner. He's willing to be vulnerable, let tears fall from his eyes. Stacy, okay. My phone stopped recording, so I'm just gonna talk and I'll have the image up there. I said Stacy, sorry. Alexis to me, so apparently she keeps going around on this referring to the story about how she was proposed to 3 times. Now, that's a very interesting story, but it kind of is unrelatable because it doesn't really tell me enough about she said she was proposed to 3 times, but I don't know, it doesn't tell me enough about what she's ready to do. She just kept talking about how she's not going to run away. And I always listen to when people focus on like negative space when they say what they're not going to do. But I'm like, but what are you ready to do? Her energy, her positivity is beautiful. It's bright. I just wanted to hear her talk more about it. She does emanate it effortlessly. She has a personality. She's very bubbly. She's very beautiful as well. And her thing was that she just wasn't ready to be mature for her partners or be ready for those partnerships as they showed up for her. What else to say? Justin kept talking about how women have just looked at him for his height as opposed to like what he really has to offer. And yeah, so I would say they look really cute together. I'm not gonna lie, they look really cute together. When it comes to where they are, they feel a little bit different energetically for me, and I'm curious to see how they're going to work together as a couple. But Alexis, to me, she feels like she said at the wedding, the wedding vows were super cute. I love how that unfolded. They made it seem really natural in spite of how nervous they were. They handled it amazingly. She handled herself well. He handled himself well. I thought it was so cute. And the wedding vows are always like that. It's like that magic chemistry that you're creating in that moment. So the thing with Alexis is she said that he's not her type, but she saw why the experts matched him to her. I would say in general for women, it's easier for us to see past the physical, but we still want some attraction. So I just want to see if that she's going to build some kind of attraction to him. And that means if she's not really attracted to him physically, when she says he's not her type, then maybe she's attracted to a quality about him, like his smiles or the way he talks or his personality. So that's the only thing. I'm like, you sign up for Married at First Sight. You're kind of sacrificing that a little bit. They had a really nice vibe, a nice communication back and forth going between the two of them. I really liked it. He's very attracted to her. He thinks she's like the perfect woman and what he can see. He thinks she's beautiful. She's got a lot of personality. She's willing to get along. And I do like that about Alexis too. She's very engaging. Now, with that said, I think there are a couple things I detected to be a little off. So let's go back to she said she was proposed to 3 times. I'm getting a little like it's not totally. She seems like really sincere. I'm kind of getting Michaela vibes just a little bit. It's like, oh, I can date, I can go around, I can have fun vibes. I don't know if she's fully mature, ready for a relationship. She can be. She's great as far as like personality goes and a human being. I think she's great. Relationship wise, we're just gonna have to see what she's ready for. She just keeps saying, I'm gonna commit, I'm gonna fight for this. And I'm like, okay, you can commit, you can fight, but are you ready to have fun too and like be in love? And I don't know. It was just the way she kept talking about the negative space to me that seemed like a warning, but we'll get into that in future episodes. With Justin, to me, he seems like he carries himself very well. He does seem like a confident guy, but he has layers to him, or he's multifaceted. I'm just curious to see how the chemistry or the vibe between the two of them is going to play out because I do imagine that a manlier, rough guy would be more her type than Justin. Justin to me seems very like thoughtful, right? Because he's looking for that mental connection. He's more thoughtful, more poetic. That's how his energy works. So that's what I have to say. I think they're cute together. I'm looking forward to seeing how all of the couples work out their energies. Go ahead and mention down in the comments what your predictions are for each of the couples. Let me know. I have no predictions. I'm throwing all to fate. There are some couples, for the most part, I think Kristin and Mitch, maybe Lindy and Miguel, to me, were feeling really good. But I feel like all of these couples, they have some magic qualities that match them with one another, but they also have qualities that are like very opposite of one another. So I can't say exactly who's going to last and who isn't. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm so happy to be back, and you guys will be seeing me every week. I don't know how 100% how consistent I'm going to be. It is kind of a busy summer. I'm working on my other channel. As you guys know, I'm being my authentic weird self on that channel, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it, and that is a lot of work, but I do love it. I do enjoy it. So I hope you guys are enjoying your summer and however that is unfolding for you. And I appreciate you being back here to watch. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening.